The fastest way to get people into a new anime or manga is for it to have a good power system. Whether you have flashy abilities like Stans from JoJo's to more unique abilities like Nen from Hunter x Hunter, a good power system attracts people to the series. There are a lot of things that go into making a power system, and this just gives me an excuse to talk about how to be creative and make a cool power system. If you have any ideas on powers, put it down in the comments down below. I love reading that kind of stuff. There are two things to keep in mind when starting off. One, no matter how good the abilities are in a series, if the plot and the characters are not good or entertaining, it doesn't matter. Like I mentioned earlier, cool powers do bring people in, however a good plot and characterization keeps your audience there. And two, powers don't automatically mean supernatural. You have a series where the power system is just normal fighting techniques, just like in Demon Slayer, where, sorry to break it to you, all that sword, water, fire magic is just visual flair. I literally learned that after finishing season 1 and I was like really sad for 2 minutes. Also, side note, Food Wars has abilities and stuff in it. Like really, it's just people cooking and eating, but there are techniques and abilities, so don't limit yourself to only crazy magic powers. First step, make your power system simple and easy to understand. Okay, that sounds counterintuitive, but it's important for your audience, let it be just your friends you're showing or thousands of people reading it, to fully understand the powers, so they don't get confused later down the line. This doesn't mean that you can't have complex or in-depth abilities, you should just start off in a broader sense, then narrow it down more and more. A really good example of this is Fire Force. In this anime there are two types of people with abilities. Well, technically there are three, but we won't get into that. We have the second generation that allow people to manipulate existing fire sources, and the third generation that allow them to produce their own flames. The main concept is very simple. Fire. That's it. But the power system divides itself into subcategories, the generations. And even with those categories, there are more unique abilities. There are characters who can shoot fire from their feet, have a little plasma sword, and even make ice. Having a nebulous or very loose system leaves room for confusion, like having just magic. When a character uses a fireball spell, we're like, cool. We start to understand the abilities, but then if another character uses like reality warping magic, where are the limits? Where does it come from? Like, why does this character get such a powerful spell? And other questions like those arise. That's exactly what Black Clover avoided by using grimoires. Everyone with magic has their own grimoire and spells, making it very easy to understand, but it doesn't limit the creativity or the range of power. Even JJK, a series known for its complex abilities, is very cut and dry. There's a form of energy fueled by negative emotions, curse energy, and this can be used for curse techniques and domains. See, the power system is very easy to understand, but I love how it works. Next, it is important that the abilities have very clear weaknesses and drawbacks. There should never be a person with literal unstoppable powers, unless it fits into the story you're writing. Even the strongest anime character, Saitama, stay mad Goku stands, has a weakness. It's not a physical one, but it's just as important. In the recent chapters, we see him missing very big battles and moments due to his bad timing, leading to people dying. This weakness allows the story to have tension and keep the readers engaged. Plus, it shows that even with all Saitama's strength, there are some things he has yet to overcome. Every power system has limitations. Usually it's tied with the character's stamina, like chakra from Naruto or haki for One Piece. This role is here so the characters are dynamic, are always working towards a goal or figuring out how to bypass their weaknesses. This is going to sound weird, but the more limitations, the better. Make sure you give your system clear boundaries. In One Piece, for example, Devil Fruit users can't swim and lose all their strength in water. They also have specific counters, like how Luffy is weak against piercing attacks, like if you use a sword, and how Ace was weak against Blackbeard's Dark Fruit. I touched on this very quickly earlier, but it's important to know where the power system comes from, its source. I like to see it as two forms, innate and bestowed powers. Innate powers are the ones that technically everyone has and can use, like quirks from My Hero Academia. It also applies to those that require some sort of teaching, like how in Hunter x Hunter everyone has aura nodes it can be awakened to have Nen, or how in Fullmetal Alchemist anyone could technically learn alchemy, but they need extensive knowledge on the topic. Bestowed powers are abilities given to characters from outside sources, like eating a devil fruit, or how most people in JoJo's get stands, by getting cut by the stand arrow or a scarab, wherever it is. Of course, there are exceptions to these rules. In Attack on Titan, Eren was turned to a Titan Shifter by using the serum and eating another Titan Shifter. That's an outside source. But since he doesn't have innate royal blood, he has limited access to some abilities. Knowing the source of your power allows you to have good world building and flesh out the characters and story. You can even have cool interaction between the people and the power system. Maybe it stems from a different plane of existence, like Bleach, or maybe magic is ingrained in the whole area, making it part of the culture, like Magi. Magi? Maggie. Aladdin. No matter what form of power you're using, having a thought out idea of where it comes from or how to attain it will help you in your writing and can lead to some interesting storylines in the future. Those ideas were very important to get your power system off the ground. Now you know your general concept, the main weaknesses, and where the power comes from. Let's talk about what everyone wants to know. How do you make the next big power system? The next Nen or the next cursed techniques? Related to the idea of limitation, the power system needs to have skill and creativity. Let's look at Nen. There are 6 different attributes: enhancement, emission, manipulation, conjuration, transmutation, and specialist. Each attribute has distinct properties, and a person is assigned to one of these 6. But a person can learn other attributes through training. The closer they are to each other, the easier it is to learn. For example, people with the enhancement attribute have a relatively easy time learning emission or transmutation techniques, while specialist is the most difficult to learn, if they could even learn it. This is where the difference between Nen and other powers become pretty obvious. Nen users are all going to be different. 2 enhancers can have completely opposite paths. One can focus their entire life on trying to become a specialist, while the other one focuses on being just an enhancer. At the end of the day, these 2 were basically the same starting out, but now have vastly different abilities. Creativity, skill, and characterization is what makes the difference. Can you imagine Hikari's confusing idle gamble domain ability with any other character in JJK? Same goes with Killua's Godspeed in Hunter x Hunter. But I could see many characters, not just Goku, using Super Saiyan, Kamehameha, and even Ultra Instinct. Using those 2 examples, the characters didn't just get these abilities out of nowhere. It comes from their personalities, backstories, and training. Hikari needs to know the understanding of his domain and gambling with precision in order to make the most of it, while Killua's Godspeed comes from his electrical resistance from being an assassin and his cunning intelligence. Now the same idea goes with any character you make, and now you have every character with their own abilities that only they can use effectively. You should also make sure not to focus on just raw strength, but instead, technique. Yuji, Maki, and Toji could pretty much win any fight dealing with pure fighting strength and combat. But the reason why each fight has you on the edge of your seat is because the techniques and mind games, like Gojo's Limitless, Megumi's 10 Shadows, and Mahito's Transfiguration. Everyone has the same limitations, which is cursed energy, but how they use it changes the stakes completely. It's skill matchmaking, funny enough. When I think of a power I want to make, or I see one in anime, I think to myself, if there was a character who could copy this ability, could I use it just as well as the original could? Of course, this is dealing with specific powers per person, which can only be done after coming up with your overall idea. But, I hope I was able to help you or even jumpstart any ideas you had. I always love seeing anime and manga with creative ideas, and I was so lucky I was able to talk about it with you guys. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. Alright, peace.